Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tampa Bay Water Board meeting of August 18th, 2025. Chairman Cohen was unable to attend the meeting today, so I will be acting chairperson. The meeting was noticed in the Florida Administrative Register and on the Tampa Bay website, Tampa Bay Water website. The meeting is available for viewing through live streaming, and a recording of the meeting will be posted on the agency's website. And now our previous chair, Oakley, will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Kathleen, could you lead us a roll call, please?
Commissioner Cohen, Councilmember Hanowitz,
Here.
Mayor Davis,
Here.
Commissioner Eggers,
Here.
Commissioner Mariano, Councilman Miranda,
Here.
Commissioner Oakley,
Here.
Commissioner Woostel,
Here.
Commissioner Peters. Here. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Board members, are there any changes to the agenda? Seeing that there are no changes, we move on to public comment. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. I have 2 speakers today. The first one is Mark Clutho. Mr. Clutho?
Mark Clutho, Largo. This is really good. Regional water supplies, member demands, and environmental conditions. Boy, are you doing a job on the conditions. And then Florida Friendly Landscaping Program. I look at the landscaping here, and what a monumental joke. Not benefiting the environment. Yeah. And this article here, Tampa Bay Water wins $21 million. Oh, man. What happened to all the other zeros? This is going to fix the problem? Not. Oh, you pathetic idiots. FEMA cuts would hurt Florida. Oh, that's a wonderful headline. Record-breaking heat wave scorches southeast U.S. So all the idiots are wearing coats. We're going to have another day of 100+. Oh boy, so sad. A record year for floods and heat. First glimpses of fall forecasts warn of high temperatures, more wildfires. And then this headline here, the world is now unavoidably toxic. Well, thanks to you fools. I look at the vehicles you're driving out there, and then I see all these fools sitting in their cars. They're all running out there instead of them coming into this beautiful building. You have those 16 light bulbs shining on the wall. And the fool said it was going to be a daylit building. What's the point? The future is dim. The very, very, very dim. Your legacy is a big zero. A big zero. Yeah. Toxic. That's what you are, toxic. It's a shame, isn't it?
Thank you. Mr. Ballard Geddes, Jr.,
Hi, good morning.
good morning.
David Ballard Geddes Jr. I live on Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 of our current Constitution states to capture both land and water with the intention of uniformly bankrupting the United States in Clause 4 of Section 8, Article 1. George Washington again states that he is giving us a useful lesson on our heads, here to indirectly undermine that which cannot be directly overthrown, claiming that he is of greatest rankness and truly one's worst enemy, capturing, uniformly undermining, bankrupting, hiding behind the Mona Lisa smile on the $1 bill is two separate symbols stating debts, both public and private, representing one debt land and one debt water in its capture. The Declaration of Independence again states that this government is here to eat us out of our subsistence, and when it becomes necessary to dissolve our current political structure and assume among the powers of the earth separate but equal stations. Capturing the water, it declares to throw off our current government and lay its new foundation as an unwarranted jurisdiction as its process thereto, declaring a long train of usurpations that mankind is more disposed to suffer while such evils are sufferable, undermining, bankrupting, creating debts, both public and private, both land and water, evincing our current Constitution as a design to reduce us unto absolute despotism. It declares to take our liberty, property, and life while birthing unwarranted water jurisdictions under the 14th Amendment, thereof unconstitutionally using our current Constitution as a form of reprisal, as a bill of attainder, a letter of marque, an ex post facto law reflecting of a contrived debt contracted and engaged into before the adoption of our current Constitution in Article 6, dissolving our current Constitution in an attempt to invoke a maritime assumption of power over an original jurisdiction in regards to fact and equity. In the substance of Article 3, Section 2 makes our current Constitution an act of hypocrisy. George Washington and his money is not withstanding of legitimacy and is no good. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, we have our consent agenda. Are there items that are going to be pulled for discussion?
Yes, ma'am. I would ask that we can pull A 13, 14, and 15. There had been some questions on the mitigation banking, and so I would like to just have a discussion on that.
Okay, with A 13, 14, and 15 pulled, we can vote on the rest of the agenda, and then we can discuss those items if there is a motion.
Second.
Okay. Councilmember Miranda moved with a second from Mayor Davis. Kathleen, can you please open the machine for voting?
Yes.
Board members, please enter your votes.
Madam Chair, the motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. Now we move on to items A 13, 14, and 15. Chuck?
Yes, I'd like to introduce Maribel Medina, our Planning and Projects Director. She has a couple slides here just to highlight some of the mitigation credits that we're buying.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Vice Chairman and members of the board. Agenda items A13, 14, and 15 are closely related and pertain to a requirement of our primary environmental permits for the South Hillsborough Pipeline Project. I will provide a brief overview of mitigation banking, followed by a request for your approval of these items. Mitigation banking is a practice in which a public agency or a private entity known as the banker undertakes environmental restoration or preservation of a site to provide offsets for mitigation for unavoidable wetland impacts within a defined service area. For example, in the star on the map shown in the slide shows the general location of one of the banks that we are purchasing credits from, which is defined within the service area shown in green. Mitigation banks are authorized through a mitigation bank instrument issued by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers or a state permit from either a water management district or the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, and are created, restored, and maintained by their bank owners. Federal and state rules on permits allow mitigation banks to sell credits to help offset their mitigation cost. Generally, it's more ecologically beneficial to restore larger tracts of land and wetlands through these mitigation bank sites, rather than mitigate individual disturbed wetlands on site. The ecological value of a mitigation bank is quantified in compensatory mitigation credits, which serve as a currency for offsetting permitted impacts. For the South Hillsborough Pipeline Project, Tampa Bay Water will be purchasing mitigation credits to compensate for the 3.6 acres of impacted wetlands. This approach eliminates the need to acquire land and manage a mitigation site. We are proposing to purchase credits from 3 banks, as no one bank have enough credits for the 3.6 acres that we are requiring to mitigate. Agenda items A13, 14, and 15 each request approval for an agreement with applicable bank owners for the purchase of these credits. The total cost for the 3 agreements is $390,000, and staff requests board approval for each one of these agreements included in these agenda items. And Mrs. Anowicz, this concludes the presentation, and I will be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Maribel. Board members, are there any questions? Seeing that there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve items A13.
Second.
Okay,
We're doing all 3 or one?
we can do it all 3 together. So Commissioner Oakley moved, and a second by Commissioner Wastall, I believe.
Okay.
Kathleen, can you please open the machine for voting? Enter your votes, members.
Madam Chair, the motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. And now we move on to our regular agenda. Item B1 is presented by our General Manager, Chuck Carden. There is no vote on this. This is just informational.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair and board members. We'll start with the slide of our system. This is showing how we're doing. The purple is the target, what we thought or planned ahead. And as you can see, we are either right on the purple line or underneath it. So the demands have been where we thought they would be. Next slide, please. This is a graph of our consolidated water use permit. The permit limit is 90 million gallons a day, and as you can tell at the July-August chart, we are at 75.56. Well, we're well under the 90 million gallons a day. That was a planned ahead because of the work we're doing at the surface water treatment plant. The line will get closer to the 90 as we move through the drier season later this year. The next graph is the South Central Hillsborough Regional well field. And as you can see, we are tracking right at the permit limit of 24.95. I think actually we're at 24.93 as of July 31st. And this is a picture of our reservoir filling. The orange line is where we projected we'd be at this time, and the blue shaded in is where we actually are. I think I checked today, we are at a little over 10 billion gallons. So we're a little more than 2/3 full, and I think we're in good shape. I did want to spend a little time talking about these 2 items. We'll take the first one is our permit updates. Starting with the Alafaya River increase of permit. As you know, the board authorized us to put in a permit to take up 19% of the high flows on the Alafaya River versus the old 10% of high flows. The district approved that request, and that permit was issued on July 22nd. We began using that water the very next day. And in fact, I was told this morning that the additional from the 10% to the 19, from the 23rd of July till now, we've put in 405 million gallons. So where I say we're at 10.2, we'd be at 9.8 if it wasn't for that change. One of the conditions of the permit was to advertise to third party if anybody would like to challenge the permit. There's a 21-day period that you have to do that. And we were approached after we did that by the Polk Water Authority, and they asked the district for more time and us if they could have more time than the 21 days. So they were granted up to September 30th to decide whether they wanted to intervene on the permit. In the meantime, they would like to continue our discussions with them. So I will keep you abreast of how that's working. But in the meantime, we're taking the additional waters, and it's been very beneficial to us. The other permit I want to talk about briefly is the City of Tampa on the Hillsborough River. As you know, they have got to renew their permit. I believe it's for the same quantity of 82 million gallons a day. We have had discussions with them just to chat about things, and we will continue to do so. I think we're scheduled to have another discussion with them in September. The next item, the South Hillsborough program update. That's primarily two projects that we're working hard on. First being the pipeline. It's the 26-mile pipeline that is broken into a segment A and a segment B. The Hillsborough County folks are paying for the segment B portion, and Tampa Bay Water's taking care of A. The district is co-funding, I think, up to $146 million for the entire pipeline. We are in the middle of property and permit acquisition as we speak. I did want to mention I have talked to the Hillsborough County School Board as recently as July 28th. I visited a couple of the board members, and just to coordinate to make sure we're closely aligned what we're doing and around the schools in that part of the county. In addition, the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners on August 6th approved our road closures that could last more than 30 days. So that went through on August 6th. The other project that we're working hard on is the South Hillsborough well field. And as you know, this is a new water supply project that was shortlisted both in 2018 and in the 2023 Master Water Plan updates. A full feasibility study was completed in 2021. The new well field could yield between 6 and 12 million gallons a day, and it could be up and running as early as 2030. And part of that quantity from the well field will come from the acquisition of water use permits, and the other could come from the recharge credits purchased from Hillsborough County. We have upcoming board actions for this new Hillsborough well field that I wanted to talk to you about. I'm hoping to bring back a request for board approval to actually implement the project. We also need an agreement with the ELAP folks who own some property in Hillsborough County in exchange for 4 well sites for part of these projects. And then we are also talking with the county about purchasing some land on their site for the water treatment plant and 3 additional wells. We will continue to work with the county staff and working on the longer-term agreement for the aquifer recharge credits. Speaking of the South Hillsborough well field, this is a project team went out there to the Southside Library, I believe, 2 weeks ago, and we discussed the project with the residents to let them know what we were planning to do. We had an open house style, and then we did a presentation to give information and take questions and answers. We did collect a lot of feedback from the residents on the well field, and it was well attended, and it was very beneficial. We also met with the Baum Civic Association on the project in June. This is a picture of a celebration of a graduation of a class at the Amskill Center, which is just down the road in Holiday. We have been working with the folks at Amskill to start an apprenticeship program with Tampa Bay Water and them. I know Pasco County Utilities uses them a lot, and you can see there Commissioner Eggers and Commissioner Mariano were there. I hope by next year we'll have this full apprenticeship program available to us, and it's to train future operators and future I&C technicians. They're very difficult positions to hire at times, and so this is we look forward to the relationship with the Amskill folks. We also participated in 2 Keep Pinellas Beautiful Summer Leadership Workshops, and included presentations and offering feedback to the students on their environmental projects. In July, the City of Tampa hosted a press conference highlighting Tampa Bay Waterwise pilot program for the sprinkler irrigation systems. You can see in the picture, Mayor Jane Castor highlighted the importance of these conservation projects. As you know, school has started, and last month we collected school supplies for the Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco Education Foundation. And very exciting news, our exhibit at the Great Explorations Children's Museum, The Wonders of Wetlands. I think in April we were there to celebrate that, but we were nominated to be one of the Best of the Bay Awards. And so I believe the voting is until this Wednesday, so hopefully we will win that. I think they'll announce the winners of that on September 24th. And that concludes some of the activities we've been doing. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Great. Well, thank you for the update, and thank you to all the staff and board members who attended all these events. Are there any questions?
I just have one.
Yes, Commissioner Wasson.
How's the general energy of the South Hillsborough pipeline among the community? I only ask because I was recently shared a flurry of next door comments towards me specifically. Of course, I wasn't even involved in picking the routes. That was before I even got here. But how is the general mood of folks?
Well, in general, I would say they're not excited. I could say that. Of the distraction and the inconvenience, it's going to happen. We're going through a very populated, dense community. It's 26 miles long, and so we're going to do everything we can to make it as painless as we can. And we've been out there meeting with them. We have a very good contractor, I believe, that's very considerate of the community, and that's Garney Contractors. So it's not going to, I can't tell you it's going to be a rosy adventure. It's going to have its moments, but we're going to do everything we can to make it as easy as we can for them.
Okay. Maybe I'll bring a sign that says Commissioner Woostel didn't pick this. All right. Thank you, Chuck.
Yes, residents never can defy for whether we voted for something or not. You're just the person in the seat that takes the heat. That's what happens. So we go on to action items. There are 4 items, and the first one that we're going to take on is C1. It's resolution number 2025-012, adopting the revised purchasing policy. And we have Christina Sackett, our Chief Financial Officer, who will be presenting this item, and this will require a vote. Hi, Christina.
Hi. Good morning, Vice Chair, members of the board. Agenda item C1 is a presentation of the proposed revisions to the agency's purchasing policy. And as Commissioner Hanawit said, Councilwoman Hanawit said, board action will be requested at the end of the presentation. The agency's existing purchasing policy was approved by the board in April of 2014. The policy incorporated the statutes and regulations identified by General Counsel and leaned heavily on our member government's purchasing policies and procedures. The existing purchasing policy was reviewed and compared with our member government's current policies to identify potential revisions for improvement. Recommended revisions to 4 areas were identified to better align with the current purchasing policies of our member governments. These are the general manager's approval level, the competitive bidding threshold amount, the purchasing exceptions aggregate approval, and the rejection of bids and proposals delegation. The next couple slides will provide more details on these recommendations. The first recommendation is to increase the general manager's purchasing approval level from $100,000 to $150,000, which would also revise the board approval amount to more than $150,000. This increase better aligns with our member government's policies that have board approval limits ranging from $100,000 to $250,000. The second recommendation is to increase the procurement method threshold levels, allowing the agency to adjust for economic changes and correspond with our member government levels. Procurement by competitive bid, sealed bid, or request for proposals would be increased from more than $35,000 to more than $50,000. This change would adjust the agency's procurement thresholds for the lower levels as well. Formal requests for quotes would be for purchases between $25,000 and $50,000. 2 or more informal quotes would be for purchases between $10,000 and $25,000, and small purchases would be up to $10,000. The third recommendation relates to sealed competitive procurement exceptions identified by the purchasing policy. Some of these that qualify as exceptions are sole source purchases, cooperative purchases, use of state contracts, piggybacking contracts, and software support agreements. Competitive procurement exceptions that are above the general manager's approval level are brought to the board for approval. There are times when the agency will have multiple purchases with the vendor via one of the competitive purchasing exceptions. When this happens and the aggregate total will or has reached the board approval limit, it is brought to the board for approval. Currently, the aggregate total is calculated from when we first started purchasing from the vendor via a purchasing exception. The first part of this recommendation is to change the aggregate total calculation from when we first started purchasing from the vendor and line it up to the aggregate total calculation with the approved budgeted fiscal year. The second part of this recommendation is to align the board approval level of these aggregate procurement exceptions with the proposed general manager's purchase level of $150,000. The final recommended revision authorizes the general manager to reject any or all bids and proposals instead of having his rejection level match his approval level. This will allow the agency to reject submittals and re-advertise the procurement much quicker. These are the 4 proposed revisions to the agency's purchasing policy. Staff recommends approval of Resolution 2025-012, which adopts the revised purchasing policy. This does conclude my presentation, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Board, any questions or comments? Seeing none? Commissioner Wastel.
Chuck, it's not about you, and I'm not asking anybody to vote with me. I'm going to vote no, just because we recently did this at the county. We increased the threshold by a decent amount, and then I started getting complaints about something that came before us, and I was confused because I don't remember awarding the contract to this vendor. I looked at the vendor and I'm thinking this is not something I would have voted on to approve anyways. And then it was soon after we increased that threshold, it allowed this one specific contract that I would have preferred to be able to vote on to slide under the radar. And it just had a big negative outcome for me. And it was a consequence that I never considered when I voted yes at the county. I just thought, okay, this is about convenience. Cost of things are scaling up. We don't want to have to vote on approving the purchase of some vehicles or something that would be a big headache and inconvenience for the board. But it did allow for items that should have probably come before our board. And for that reason, just because I've already experienced the negative outcomes of it, I'm voting no. I don't expect you to, but I just wanted you to understand my reasoning. Thank you.
Commissioner Eggers.
I appreciate that perspective. I certainly share the concern. I'm going to support it, but I would remind our GM that, we want to make sure that we see the ones that are controversial, even if they're below that 150,000. I think to your point, that's nothing we want to get involved in. And so for me, it'll be really important for your judgment on that. And we'll be, looking at that every year, of course, to see how things have gone. But I just want to make sure that we see those tough ones. I don't care if it's under 150.
I will do so.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments?
I'm going to support it also, and just like Commissioner Eggers said, really is putting a lot more pressure on the general manager and not us. But we're the ones that are going to say yes, but I'm sure he's capable of doing this. He's been doing this since I had long curls. And it is what it is, and we'll go from there.
Any other commentary? Yeah, I agree in terms of supporting this. The last time this policy was touched was over 10 years ago. It seems reasonable, but I think it's also reasonable, as Commissioner Eggers says, to make sure that we're notified of any ones that you think would need a board overview. But having said that, I believe we have a motion from Commissioner Miranda. Was there a second?
I'll second.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Miranda, a second from Commissioner Oakley. Kathleen, can you please open machine for voting? Board members, please enter your votes.
Madam Vice Chair, the motion passed 6-1.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Christina. We move on to item C2, and this is the feasibility study for new groundwater sources, project number 11022, Eastern Pasco Wellfield Well Pre-Qualified Construction Contract number 2025-300 with Applied Drilling Engineering, Inc. And we have, and I hope I pronounced your last name right, Danielle Kersey? Kersey, the Senior Project Manager on this.
Morning, Ms. Chairman and members of the board. Agenda item C2 is an action item for the Eastern Pasco Wellfield, which is part of the feasibility study for new groundwater sources project. At the end of this presentation, I will be requesting approval of a pre-qualified assignment for the construction of test production and monitoring wells. As you may recall, in November of 2023, the board approved several water supply projects for further study as part of the long-term master water plan. The feasibility study for new groundwater sources project includes the 3 concepts listed on the screen. Today, we'll be focusing on the Eastern Pasco Wellfield. This project explores a potential new fresh groundwater wellfield in Eastern Pasco County and includes the construction and testing of a test production well and monitoring wells in the upper Florida Aquifer. This contract includes the construction of 1 test production well, 1 superficial aquifer monitoring well, and 1 fresh groundwater monitoring well, as well as an aquifer performance pump test. Staff recommends approval of pre-qualified assignment number 2025-300 to the lowest responsive bidder, Applied Drilling Engineering, in the amount of $1,235,110, which is inclusive of $250,000 of owner's allowance, for the construction of test production and monitoring wells for the Eastern Pasco Wellfield Feasibility Study. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Board members, are there any questions or commentary? We have first Commissioner Oakley and then followed by Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, we had this come before our Board of County Commissioners in Pasco, and we approved the item. A lot of people talking to us did not understand it out in that northeast rural area, but they don't quite understand what testing means. So I think we explained it very well, and then I think Chuck and your team have been out there quite a bit with different meetings to the public, even though some of them still struggle with trying to figure it out. So they think they're going to lose groundwater and their well water, which is at a lower rate, like 100 feet or 200 feet deep wells. It's not going to have any effect on their wells. So that message went out and Pasco County voted for this project.
Thank you, Commissioner Oakley, for letting us know the effects in Pasco County and what the opinions were on that. Thank you. Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, just a quick question. See that there was 4 bids, we only received 1. And so what's the dynamic of the marketplace for this kind of work?
We bid to 4 pre-qualified contracts, so we have an as-needed contract with those 4 bidders. We only received 1 bid, you're correct. We did reach out to the other respondents to see why they maybe didn't submit a bid on the project. 1 got back to us and just said that they didn't have the time right now in their schedule. We didn't hear back from the other 2. 3 of them did download the plans, though. So 3 of them looked at the plan set and considered it. They just didn't bid.
I would appreciate any efforts to follow up with those other 2 to get just a sense of what we're running into, because this seems like, again, not being in the industry seems like a good project, and only having 1 bid is a little concerning. But anyway, thank you.
Any other commentary or
Just to add something to that, my understanding was the bid come in much higher than what we thought it would cost to do this test well, I believe. Is that not correct? Or?
No, this one is in line with what we estimated.
Oh, it is?
Our engineer,
Okay.
yes, and it is within our budget.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Is there a motion on C2?
Move approval.
Second.
We have Commissioner Wastall with a motion, seconded by Commissioner Oakley. Kathleen, if you can open the machine for voting. Board members, please enter your votes.
Madam Vice Chair, the motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation. And now we move on to C3, the Florida Friendly Landscaping Program, 2-year funding agreements with Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas counties. We have Amelia Brown, our Demand Management Program Manager, who will be presenting item C3. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Item C3 is an action item requesting approval of the 2-year funding agreements for the Florida Friendly Landscaping Programs in Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas counties. The Florida Friendly Landscaping Program provides a tremendous benefit to homeowners, businesses, and residents throughout each of the counties by educating them and providing hands-on assistance with the landscapes to implement Florida-friendly principles that benefit the environment. Tampa Bay Water has supported the Florida Friendly Landscaping Program since 1995, and these funding agreements have been approved annually for program implementation in Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas counties. Important to note that it's not limited to the water service areas of, say, Hillsborough County, but includes the city of Tampa and all the regions within the county, and that is true for all the county activities. This year, we've developed a 2-year agreement, given our longstanding support of these programs. And staff in each county, they work with homeowners, HOAs, and property managers to encourage Florida-friendly landscaping principles, which includes outdoor water conservation, as well as improved water quality through education about how to maintain healthy landscapes and use less fertilizer and chemicals for weed and pest control. The 2024 Tri-County Annual Report summarizes their activities across all 3 counties, and here are a few highlights. The programs saved more than 55 million gallons in the year of 2024. Program staff delivered 101 presentations and workshops, reaching over 4,500 citizens, and a combined total of 337 evaluations of irrigation systems and landscapes were conducted with homeowners and homeowner associations. The 2-year contract amounts are shown here for each county. Staff recommends the board approve these 2-year Florida-friendly landscape funding agreements with Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas counties in the amounts shown. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Board members, are there any questions or discussion? Commissioner Oakley?
Yep. We also accepted this friendly landscaping program and have been doing it in the past, and it's been very beneficial to the county. So, but we approved this in our board meeting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other commentary? Okay. You have a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Okay. We have Commissioner Oakley with a motion, seconded by Commissioner Wastall. Kathleen, can you please open the machine for voting? Board members, please enter your votes.
Madam Vice Chair, the motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. And now we move on to C4, Regional Demand Management Program Administrator Contract Number 2026-015 with Electric and Gas Industries Association, Inc. and Tampa Bay Waterwise update. And Ms. Brown, please continue.
Thank you. So I'll be providing a brief update about the Tampa Bay Waterwise program, followed by an action item, a request for approval of a new 5-year contract with Electric and Gas Industries Association to serve as the third-party rebate administrator for the program. So in summary, Tampa Bay Waterwise is our regional water conservation rebate program, and our goal is to save 3.8 million gallons per day by 2030, and to do so at lower cost than what it costs to develop new supplies. Members are an integral part of this program and help to guide the program's development through our monthly working group meetings. EGIA is the third-party rebate administrator and marketing manager for the program, and the district co-funds this program. I showed this image a while back, last time I presented to you, which shows our high water savings goal for 2030 and our minimum water savings goal to maintain a cost effectiveness, and those are shown in blue and green. It also shows our actual savings through 2024, and the red dot is where our water savings progress is to date, at about 0.87 MGD cumulatively since the program launched. We are hoping to hit the 1 million gallon per day milestone by the end of this fiscal year. That would be a nice round number, and it would also mean that we'll have hit our high savings target for the second time. For the next 5 years, the high annual savings goal is a little over 500,000 gallons per day each year, which is more than we've achieved any year so far, and we are working toward that. When I last presented, I also mentioned that we've continued to see good savings in our single-family and multifamily sectors, and we've also had 4 different sectors where we aim to grow the program this past year. I'm pleased to share that we have made progress in all of these areas as a result of EGIA's marketing efforts. In the hotel and restaurant sector, 11 projects have either been completed or are in progress, and 8 other buildings have been pre-inspected, which means we are now waiting on the ownership group to decide to move forward. In schools, 2 buildings have projects in progress, and 2 others have been pre-inspected. Among local governments, 1 project is in progress, and in new building construction, 3 projects are in progress. In addition to that, the marketing staff also identified projects at 2 locations with a combined total of 25 cooling towers that are looking to use the rebate program to help make water-efficient upgrades. And we've also started getting active in the HOA space. 2 irrigation projects are done or in progress, and 1 has been pre-inspected. Beyond that, we launched a new program this year for homeowners, the Sprinkler System Rebate, which offers rebates for high-efficiency sprinkler heads, weather-based irrigation controllers, and more. And this program is available to all homeowners, and we're targeting the high water users for this program as well. And just recently, the working group approved an initiative that will test the impact of increasing the toilet rebate amounts. At least a couple board members have commented on this in the past. So we are going to see if this price increase will have a measurable impact on participation across all sectors, homeowners, multifamily, and commercial. And we certainly hope that it does. So as you can see, this year the program is continuously evolving, making inroads in new sectors, and finding new ways to save more water. Okay, now we will shift our focus to the contract with EGIA. Briefly, the role of the rebate administrator and marketing manager is to review applications, approve or deny, send rebate checks to customers, maintain a rebate database, and implement practices that ensure data security and fraud prevention. Also key to the execution of this program is the marketing piece, which includes 2.5 full-time equivalent staff doing outreach here in the Tampa Bay area, as well as many other staff who create social media, design flyers, brochures, get media coverage, and get the word out about the program in a variety of ways. EGIA tracks the performance of each of these marketing activities and adapts the tactics based on the results and the costs. You may recall that last year, EGIA was the sole bidder for this contract, and due to a few reasons identified by the board, such as lack of competition and questions about the contract dollar amounts, the board requested that Tampa Bay Water rebid for this contract. In order to solicit more respondents, the purchasing department added 7 new potential respondents and spoke with other governmental entities about their rebate programs and procurement experiences. One entity had the same experience we did of not receiving more than 1 respondent, and other government entities had a smaller set of services that they were requesting because they performed some of these services in-house. So through this process, we have learned that there are simply not many companies who perform the services that we seek. This time around again, EGIA was the only respondent out of 24 who downloaded the request for proposals. The purchasing department reached out to those who didn't respond, and those entities indicated that it wasn't in line with their expertise, or they lacked the capacity, or they lacked the interest. EGIA's proposal was reviewed by a selection committee comprised of member government staff as well as agency staff, and EGIA scored high marks on their proposal. Therefore, we're bringing this contract back to you a second time. Now we'll take a look at the contract budget. So we built this budget based on what it would take to meet and even slightly exceed our high savings target. So the largest cost is the rebate budget shown in blue. And this money goes directly to customers who participate in the program. The rebate budget is substantially larger than what we've issued in rebates in the past, largely because the savings target over the next several years is higher than it's been in previous years. So if we succeed in issuing all of these rebates, we will slightly exceed our high savings target, and the cost effectiveness of the program improves, coming in at 58 cents per 1,000 gallons, down from 78 cents. If we do not issue all of these rebates, expenses will go down in that category, slightly down in admin, and the program will still remain cost effective compared with the cost of new supplies, which is anticipated to range $2 to $4 per 1,000 gallons. There is an annual $20,000 incentive or penalty for either exceeding the high target or not meeting the low target. The administrative costs shown in orange are just slightly higher than they were in 2024, and they remain the smallest portion of the budget, 8% in the 2026 year. And lastly, the marketing budget reflects the amount requested by Tampa Bay Water. We have learned that having the right marketing strategies and people paired with the appropriate budget to support it is essential to the growth of this program. So we see this when we compare 2024 with the year 2022, which was before we increased the marketing budget. The 2024 marketing spend was 204% higher than 2022, and the water savings were 230% higher. All told, the annual budget is about $2.4 million, bringing the 5-year total to about $12 million. Therefore, staff recommends board approval of contract number 2024-024 with Electric and Gas Industries Association for a 5-year contract in the amount shown. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions or commentary? Commissioner Eggers?
I really appreciate the last page. It's just hard sometimes to understand what we're actually getting for this work. The 70% is actually going into the rebates themselves. So it's actually going to be in the hands of our customers. Okay.
That's correct.
Administration at 177. Again, I'm not the expert here. It just seems high. Marketing costs, is that boots on the ground, the 2.5 FTEs that are out there doing it, or is it, advertising on radio, TV, that kind of, what is that? What is included in the marketing?
It is all of those things. So it's the 2.5 FTE who are active here in Tampa Bay Water, plus perhaps about a half a dozen people at EGIA who help develop and design the flyers and brochures. And that accounts for about 60% of those costs, and about 40, or technically 42%, are to pay for printing of flyers, attending events, and those are essentially pass-through costs. It's not paid for the services, it's just paying for the material goods and events.
So the marketing is being done by our personnel?
No,
Oh, I thought you
by
said 2.5
EGIA
from.
staff. So it is 2.5 FTE equivalent. They are EGIA staff.
Okay, all right, I thought you said Tampa Bay Water staff, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I may.
No, you may not have. Okay, so this is the outside expertise
Correct.
that's going to go on the ground, 2.5 people, and additional costs for the actual marketing itself.
That's correct.
And then we're giving the organization 0.177, 177,000 a year for administrative.
In 1 year, yeah.
And administrative is the issuance of all of this.
Issuance and, sort of the general program management. There are about a dozen people at EGIA, in addition to the 2.5 FTE who help support this program. And so it includes all of those services. Interestingly, too, EGIA charges a per rebate fee, but only any rebates that are approved. There's no charge for any rebates that are denied.
Okay. And you're the eyes and ears for us with that organization.
Indeed.
Okay. And you're comfortable with the 8%?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other comments or questions? I'll just say that it's a large number, and I agree with Commissioner Eggers with some of the concerns. I want to just point out, just for the record, I think part of the reason that it feels better is because a lot is going back to the customers, which is 8.4 million, if my math is correct, over 5 years out of the 12 million. Something around there, 70% of 12 million. Okay.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion and this,
I just
Yes.
wanted also, I don't know if you said it, the district is co-funding
yes,
these rebates as well, so.
wonderful, thank you.
What does that mean?
Go ahead.
So to date, the district reimburses us for the issuance of rebates and contributes to the admin and marketing costs. And to date, I think they've covered about maybe 30% of total costs. So, what Tampa Bay Water would pay is essentially just 70% of this figure, based on historical
I'm glad they share in
reimbursement.
the value of the program. That's a good thing. Thank you.
Is there a motion and a second?
Approval?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Oakley, a second by Commissioner Walso. Kathleen, can you please open the machine for voting? Board members, please enter your votes.
Madam Vice Chair, the motion passed unanimously.
Thank you so much, Amelia. Okay, now we move on to presentations and reports. We have D1, which is a water quality update, and that is presented by Steve Fleischacker with the Water Quality Services Department. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Today's water quality update highlights compliance with existing regulations, EPA's recent actions concerning current PFAS drinking water requirements, and Tampa Bay Water's continuing regional water quality study. This presentation is for information only, and no board action will be requested today. Tampa Bay Water continues to provide water that meets or is better than state, federal, and local drinking water requirements. This past spring, we issued our annual water quality report, which is also known as the Consumer Confidence Report, or CCR. This report can be found on the Tampa Bay Water website. Covers on the slide. Looking ahead to new drinking water requirements, the 2024 EPA published the current regulations for 6 PFAS last year, with a 2029 compliance deadline. However, this past May, EPA announced its intent to change these PFAS drinking water regulations. EPA intends to keep the current PFOS and PFOA limits, extend the compliance deadline by 2 years to 2031, and rescind and reconsider the remaining 4 regulated PFAS. EPA plans to publish these intended changes in proposed new rules this fall. While EPA's recently stated intent is to keep the current PFOS and PFOA limits and extend the compliance deadline to achieve those limits, the American Water Works Association and others have challenged the scientific basis for the 4 part per trillion limits, and they've challenged the treatment costs used by EPA to develop these limits. Now, if their legal challenge is successful, these current PFOS and PFOA numeric limits would be rescinded and remanded back to the EPA for reconsideration. Now, this would affect Tampa Bay Water's recommendations to this board because our PFOS levels are so close to the current limits. The highest average PFOS levels in our region for the past 2 years have been in the range of just under 4 parts per trillion to just under 6 parts per trillion at 3 of our regional delivery locations. Again, the current limit is 4. As previously presented, these delivery locations are served by 3 Tampa Bay water treatment locations shown by orange stars and identified in the first bullet on this slide. A supplemental PFOS treatment processes, or barriers, shown in the second bullet on this slide are included in our updated Regional Water Quality Study draft report that has been reviewed by your utility directors and their technical staffs. Now, we are nearing completion on responding to all of their comments and revising the draft report accordingly. We will continue to meet with them to confirm their concurrence with the revisions and the technical basis for treatment recommendations to comply with the current limits. And we are also carefully monitoring the EPA AWWA case now that it's returned to the federal court docket just last month. One key milestone in that is scheduled for mid-September. That may indicate a change in EPA's direction on the current PFOS limits, which could modify our recommendations on prioritized PFAS and TOC treatment locations to this board. Nevertheless, we are proceeding with what we know, and we will have a plan ready to meet the EPA's current requirements. We will continue to update the board with information as we receive it. That concludes my brief presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from members? Mr. Eggers.
So just for perspective, in our area, at first, the previous limit prior to these 4 parts was what?
70.
70.
And it was a guideline at that time.
Understand. And we really haven't had any areas in our region test much higher than the current limits.
Near our source waters, that's correct.
Yeah. And so what we've been talking about is prioritizing the locations, if that limit was indeed upheld, and then also incorporating the TOC element in some of our well fields.
That's correct.
And the technology for both, or the technology used would help both.
That's correct.
Okay. So regardless of what's being told by the outside world, including the EPA, it may be something that we continue to monitor. The priority might be changed a little bit based on TOC versus the PFAS.
That's correct.
Okay, because that's still a priority for us, the TOC.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding the 2 pieces.
Yeah.
And why we should be slowing down at all. I mean, we're not slowing down, right?
We're not slowing down. Okay. We're proceeding and we're watching what the limits may change to, if they change at all. But our top priority is if the EPA maintains its current PFAS numbers, that would be our top priority. It's a federal compliance requirement.
Understand.
The TOC is more of an operational efficiency and optimization. That's being done to optimize disinfection and to minimize the generation of trihalomethanes, disinfection byproducts. And it's also to meet some of the requirements that were brought to us to evaluate by the member utilities in their operation of their systems.
We're very concerned in Pinellas County about the TOC, so I want to make sure that we're still moving forward.
And that's why it's become so complex, is because we want to make sure that we slot in all of those different requirements, the federal compliance requirements, if they're changing, and all of the local requirements for, as you've just described.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Commissioner Wassel.
You said that this would change staff's recommendations to us if they were to prevail in court. Do you have any idea what type of fiscal burden we would be relieved of if they do prevail?
It would, I couldn't give you a dollar amount today, but I could tell you that it could potentially eliminate some of the recommended treatment locations.
If we could work on what you've recommended, what the fiscal impacts are of the current recommendations, and if they prevail, what that would relieve us of, I would be appreciative of that, okay? Thank you.
In terms of the TOC, do we, and going back to like what potential costs are, do we have an idea what numbers we're looking at here in terms of the program and the costs?
In terms of costs?
Yeah.
You know, the costs that we developed and presented to this board back a few years ago are really out of date at this point because of all the changes that we've experienced. So I don't think they would apply today. That's what we're working on updating.
To give you a sense of some
Yes.
numbers, the report had a 15-year, 3-phase approach, and it was north of $500 million.
That's large. And I know because we have Commissioner Wassel's new on the board, and this has been going on for years. And so maybe I don't know how you feel in terms of getting a workshop or something, and have an idea of what it's $500 million amount is a large amount.
I hate workshops. I don't.
Or just another.
If you want to just send me.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. But I think to your point, it is important to have that conversation of the cost at what we're looking at. Because some are regulatory requirements and some are not regulatory requirements. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm not going to push a workshop on you. That was just, I just threw it out there in case you wanted it. But I know how you feel now.
I will.
I'm okay with the workshop as long as it's in Pasco.
And to give you a sense, later this year and into January or so, we should have the report refreshed with the new cost. And it will include both PFAS cost and the TOC. And then it's kind of an a la carte where you don't do all of it and you do some of it and maybe your worst areas. You can play with the numbers and lower them. But, these costs I'm talking about is everything.
Great. Cool. Okay.
And that's why we're also meeting with the utility directors and their technical staffs, because we want to make sure that they're comfortable with all of our assumptions and the priority that we're displaying, so that when you ask them questions, they'll have all the answers as well.
Great.
Okay.
Well, thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have other administrative matters and old business. Anything that any board member would like to bring up? I see no one wanting to bring up any issues. Then we have receive and file.
Second.
We have Councilmember Miranda with a motion, a second by Commissioner Wastel. Kathleen, could you please open the machine for voting? Board members, please enter your votes.
Madam Vice Chair, the motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. Well, that brings us to the end of our meeting. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. This meeting is adjourned.